Okay, so if we have time, we'll get to 8. So number 4, again, the first thing we want to do is figure out what we're dealing with, right? It's going to be hard for us to graph these lines accurately if we don't know what our m and our b are. So if we take a look, I'm going to focus on my first equation here. Y is equal to 3 over 2x minus 4. My m is going to be this number in front of x. So that's 3 over 2. Oops, that's a 2. And my slope gives me my rise over my run. Now my rise, if it's positive, like my 3 here is, we're going to rise up. And my run on the bottom is always going to be to the right. So that's our directions, but we got to know where we start. So we find our b. That's this number being added or subtracted on the end. If we're subtracting 4 in the equation, what's b going to be equal to? -4. And our b is where we begin. So we go to -4 on the y-axis and make our first point, right about there. And then we follow the pattern we get from our slope. 3 spaces up, 2 spaces to the right. 1, 2, 3, up, 1, 2 to the right. Make our second dot. 1, 2, 3 spaces up, 1, 2 spaces to the right, and we have another dot. All we got to do is connect these 3 dots to make a nice straight line, like so. Now we got to find where this second equation intersects that purple line. So what's the slope of my second equation here? 1 over 4? Negative 1 over 4. Don't forget that negative sign, because that negative sign tells us that we're going to rise in what direction? Down. Exactly. We're going to rise down, run to the right. But where do we begin for my orange equation here? -4? We're going to begin at the b value, which in this case is +3. Right, whatever number's hanging off on the end, that tells us our starting point. And then the slope gives us our directions. So we find 3 on the y-axis, that's right there. Make our first dot. And then we're going to follow these slope directions of down 1, right 4. Down 1, right 4. We could make a dot, but there's already a dot there. And just for the sake of review, we're going to reverse those directions. Instead of down 1, right 4, we'll go up 1, left 4, and make a third dot on this line, just so we can cover all our bases here and get a nice, accurate, straight line. So, we look for the point of intersection right there. And our solution is going to be the coordinates of that single point. Where does that point line up on the x-axis? If we look down to the x-axis, where does it line up? 4. Good morning. Thank you. If we look to the left at our y-axis, where does that point line up on the y-axis? 2. So my solution is 4, 2. Now if we think back to 8.1a, when we were plugging in these numbers, if we took both of these equations and plugged in 4 for x, 2 for y, we would get a true statement on top and a true statement on the bottom. So basically this lesson is just a reverse, or inverse I should say, of what we were doing to start it out. Anyone's graph look like this in number 4? Quick little thumb up if you got 4, 2. 1, 2, 3 people. Ooh, maybe we should take another day on this, but we won't. All right, on the back to 6. 6 on the back. Now I see some issue here right away because my slopes aren't fractions. Yes. Oh, okay. Were you going to help me out with this?
I know how to make it with a fraction.
Perfect. Let's take the first equation. Karina, you got a question? Karina, Breezy. Stay with us. So for this first equation, I know that my m is equal to -3, but Devin, how can we make -3 a fraction?
Put it over 1.
Put it over 1. So now we're going 3 spaces down, 1 space to the right. We gotta remember this 1 on the bottom, otherwise we're gonna get a vertical line, which is not what we want to see. We're gonna begin at +1, right there, and we'll go down 3, right 1, down 3, right 1, up 3, left 1 in the opposite direction. And that gives us, our purple line there. Second line, my m is 2. What can I put underneath that 2 to make it a fraction? A 1. Now we're going to go up and to the right, and we'll begin at -4. So first dot at -4, up to right 1, boom, there's my intersection, up to right 1, up to right 1, up to right 1, all the way up to get as many points on this graph as we can. My solution is right there where they intersect. What are the coordinates of this solution here? Anyone got the coordinates there on number 6?
1, -2.
Beautiful. I heard a couple of you, thank you. 1, -2 is our solution. How do we find that solution? Well, we look up, in this case, at the x-axis. We land at 1. And we look over to the y-axis, we land at -2. So my solution, x, y, is 1, -2. Perfect. Let's go down to 7. Number 7, got another non-fractional slope to start out. So we're going to put that over 1. I'm going to go down and right and begin at +1. The more we do this, the more practice we get, the easier it's going to be for us to graph these lines super quick. We start at 1, we go down to right 1, follow that pattern all the way down, reverse my direction. Instead of down to right 1, I'm going to go up to left 1, up to left 1. There's my line. My second line, we're going to go down 1, right 2, and begin at -2. So my first point's at -2. I'm going to go down 1, right 2, boom, there's my intersection, down 1, right 2, reverse directions, up 1, left 2, up 1, left 2. Line it up, and we intersect right there at the point 2, -3. 2 on the x, -3 on the y, boom, there's my solution point. Just for the sake of checking our work, here's what number 8 looks like. I think someone asked for number 8. Number 8 is going to look like this, with a solution at 3, 2. That's what number 8 is going to look like. Go ahead, Darius. Final questions I can answer on worksheet 29? Yes.
When did you get this paper?
Friday. Were you here Friday?
I was.
Do you not have it? Okay. That's alright. Just take your time. Next time, make sure you let me know before we start going over it so I can get it to you.